The dust from my uncle's pickup truck settled on my worn-out boots as he sped away from the drought-stricken ranch, leaving me with a condescending smirk and a check for $10,000. "A fair price for a worthless patch of dirt, Maya," he had yelled from his window. "Do yourself a favor and buy a bus ticket out of this wasteland." He had just strong-armed me, a 22-year-old orphan, into selling my half of our family's ancestral land. He was in a rush to close a deal with a massive corporate farm that wanted to use the land for a cheap cattle feedlot. He thought he was a genius, swindling his naive niece out of her inheritance. He had no idea that the land was, in fact, worthless. The real inheritance wasn't the dirt. It was the massive, untouched aquifer, a hidden underground river of pure water that lay beneath it. And he had no idea that our grandfather, a man who trusted his own son's greed about as far as he could throw him, had secretly and legally separated the land rights from the water rights, leaving the worthless dirt to both of us and the priceless water entirely to me. My grandfather was a man of the earth. He understood the cycles of drought and rain that governed our arid corner of the world. He taught me how to read the land, not just its surface, but its hidden depths. "Water is the only true gold in this desert, little one," he used to say. "Never forget that." My uncle, his only son, never listened. He was a man of quick deals and easy money, always looking for a shortcut. When my grandfather passed, the will seemed straightforward. The ranch was split 50-50 between my uncle and me. My uncle was furious. He had expected to inherit everything. He saw me as an obstacle to his plan to sell the land to the highest bidder. The current decade-long drought had made the ranch almost completely barren, and he was desperate to unload it. But a week after the will was read, I received a separate sealed package from my grandfather's lawyer. Inside was a second private deed. It was a subsurface rights deed, a legal document my grandfather had filed years ago. It officially and irrevocably granted me, and me alone, the exclusive ownership of all water, mineral, and geothermal rights beneath the entire 10,000-acre property. My grandfather had left my uncle the dusty surface, and me the hidden kingdom. His final letter was simple. "Your uncle will try to sell the cup. He will never think to check if it is full. The water is yours. Use it wisely." I didn't say a word. I played the part of the heartbroken, naive niece. When my uncle pressured me to sell, I resisted, then argued, then finally caved to his bullying. I let him believe he was forcing my hand. I let him feel the triumph of swindling me. I took his generous $10,000 check and watched him race off to finalize his deal with the corporate farming giant Agricorp. I cashed his check, and then I went to work. I used the money to hire a hydrologist and a legal team. We drafted a proposal not for farming, but for something far more valuable in a drought-stricken state: a sustainable water bottling company. My grandfather's hidden aquifer contained enough pure, mineral-rich spring water to supply half the state. The day my uncle and the Agricorp executives were having their celebratory signing ceremony, I made my move. I didn't crash their party. I sent a single, formal notice of subsurface rights to the CEO of Agricorp, with a copy to my uncle's lawyer. The notice was simple. It informed Agricorp that while my uncle had the legal right to sell them the surface land, he had no right to drill for access or use a single drop of the water beneath it, as those rights belonged exclusively to my newly formed Aquifer Springs LLC, and he had no idea that our grandfather, a man who trusted his own son's greed about as far as he could throw him, had secretly and legally separated the land rights from the water rights, leaving the worthless dirt to both of us and the priceless water entirely to me.